Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Dadas Show, coming to you from Emara Ole Sereni Hotel here in Nairobi. I'm your host, Ashiko Mbune. Now, as our name suggests, the Dadas Show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood and solidarity. And we do this by creating an open and a safe platform for women to discuss issues pertaining to their health and lifestyle, their jobs, their families, and anything that affects them in one way or another. A number of studies over the past few years have shown that gender equality is smart economics. Women economic participation promotes agricultural productivity, enterprise development at different levels, and of course it enhances business management and of course promotes a return on investment. Unfortunately, the untapped potential of women remains a missed opportunity for especially for third world countries in terms of economic growth and development. Women are still getting very many obstacles when it comes to establishing business or even expanding existing ones. We're still facing hurdles such as discriminatory laws and regulations, unconducive work conditions, and of course lack of mentorship and networks. But today on Dadas Show, I am joined by two women who have defied all the odds and have gone against this particular narrative to be able to get a seat on the proverbial table. They're going to share with us their journey to how they got to be boss ladies, in the hope that even you and I can be able to learn a thing or two. So as always, we welcome you at home to join us in this and any other conversation that we may be having on our newly launched Facebook page at Dadas KBC. You can always reach out to us, give us your feedback, give us your comments, give us your suggestions on what we should do. You can also reach me on my personal page at Ashiko the host across all social media platforms. Now, before we get into today's show, let's take a look at the following feature.
Women can pave the way to the corner office and beyond by fostering networking and mentorship, balancing risk-taking and perfectionism, strengthening negotiating abilities, and encouraging self-promotion. The corporate landscape has significantly changed in favor of gender equality over the last few decades, with women shattering stereotypes and achieving advancement in key roles. However, women continue to be underrepresented on the path to the corner office. Today, we look at some strategies for getting the corner office. Women face challenges moving up the corporate ladder, but things are changing, and more women are pushing the boundaries in terms of networking, education, and skill acquisition. Women frequently are reluctant to showcase their accomplishment out of concern that they might be seen as arrogant or boastful. Even though the ability to effectively promote oneself is essential in a fiercely competitive corporate setting, it is imperative that women acquire the confidence to express their accomplishments so that their contributions are duly acknowledged by both superiors and colleagues. Negotiation is another critical aspect of career progression. Studies have shown that women are often less likely to negotiate their salary or seek advancement opportunities compared to their male counterparts. The pursuit of excellence is admirable, but perfectionism can hinder progress. Women need to find a balance between perfectionism and risk-taking. Taking calculated risk, stepping out of your comfort zone, and embracing challenges are essential parts of a successful career journey. Mentoring and networking play an important role in career advancement. Building strong professional relationships open doors to opportunities and provides valuable mentorship. The corporate world is always changing, and with it, so are the opportunities for women to break through barriers and take on leadership roles. For Dadas Show, my name is Miriam Arsava.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, today's discussion is on the advantages, the challenges, and the opportunities of women in business. And we have the honor of being joined by some very formidable women who are going to teach us a thing or two on how to navigate this business streets. So right next to me, I have Madam Pauline Waroe. And Madam Pauline has accolades and titles to her name. I don't think they can be able to fit on my small script. So we'll give her an opportunity to introduce herself or once we get into our conversation. And next, right next to her, we have Madam Elizabeth Chengo, boss lady extraordinaire. So she'll tell us a little bit more about herself when we get into the conversation. Of course, I'd also love to acknowledge my audience, you at home, and of course my audience here at Emara Ole Sereni, who take their time every single week to sit with us as we celebrate, as we learn, and as we discuss different issues affecting women and girls in this great nation of ours, which is Kenya. So, to start us off, so that we can be able to put everything in context, I'll start off with you, Pauline. Tell us a little bit about yourself. You know, who is Pauline Waroi?
Wow, thank you so much for having me here. My name, as you heard, is Pauline Waroi. I am a lady born in the village,
yes,
in a place called Maroa in Nyeri. That is where I grew up. I went to school there. So in a very small world, if you have grown up in the village, you know, Helen, it's just a small place where you go to nursery school, you go to high school, 30-kilometer radius, you go to high school. And then I joined the University of Nairobi, where I graduated with a degree in sociology. Beyond that, I started now getting into the job market and understanding the disadvantages, actually, of just being a graduate and trying to join the job market. As we joined the job market when there was the structural adjustment programs. I know you're just hearing about them now, but that's when we joined. And then from there, I was able to get my first job. I always say I never moved from what I did first.
Yes.
And my first job, I used to say, good morning, thank you for calling Bangladesh High Commission, and continued the same way. I was able to do a lot of other organizations, small organizations, startups. Then I got into the place where I was able to do pages. I was selling pages. That was my first opportunity to be able to sell anything, and which I hated then, but really came to be the foundation that I would really use in my life thereafter, because you never live in anything without selling.
Oh, yeah.
You have to sell yourself, you have to sell your product, your services, anything you do is selling. The same way I was saying in school, you must learn maths, because you have to learn how to count money. So if you don't want to do maths, you'll never learn how to count money or anything.
Yeah.
That's how I was taught by my father. So I joined the small companies. I saw young ladies who I thought then were old. I remember working for a lady who passed away. She was only 38, but she was so established. She was doing green beans,
Yes,
you know, and then I used to find her old, only later to come and realize that was a very self-achieved lady.
At 38.
At 38,
Yeah.
she had trucks. She was able to go for those green beans all the way from Kirinyaga, all over Meru, consolidate and sell and export.
Wow.
We're still struggling with that.
Yeah.
And that was in the early 90s.
Yeah.
So come later, I joined the telecommunication world. Started with pagers. I know when I look at the people in the room, only maybe a few would
know what the
understand.
pagers are.
Yes, what a beeper is.
What
You
a
get
beeper
beep,
is.
beep. The doctors used to sell them, and they used to cost 29,999.
And that's
in
almost a million.
1998. Yes, and we used to sell that, and we'd be able to get customers to actually sell that too. And then I joined Kensel. Anybody now? Some of them, I know the Gen Z, some of them were not even born in 2000. I joined Kensel, which for me was such an eye-opener.
Yes.
And it really gave me something about technology, something I enjoy. I'm not a techie, but I'm a techie, non-techie. If you know what I'm saying, I enjoy technology. And it really gave me, you know, a vibe.
Yes.
Let me use that word. And from there, it became Celtel, but then I moved over to oil and gas, where I was in charge. I did customer experience, so I transitioned from doing customer, sales. It was very hard. And then I transitioned into customer experience, which was even harder by any chance. Nobody knows that. Because now you have to pick everything the customer has picked. And there's a reason why I'm really talking about the customer here. So I joined Chevron Oil, East Africa, Egypt. I was coordinator for customer service for them. Then somehow I got this call that told me, it said, your CV to the big green company.
Yes.
And there I joined as the head of customer care in Safaricom. And after that, about 8-9 months, I was promoted to be the chief customer care officer. So I've been predominantly a corporate woman, did my 7 years and 3 months, then abruptly I was told, thank you, we loved you very much.
See you.
See ya. And I joined the world of business.
Yes.
So where I established my own company, I did not know, and this is one thing I would like to say, we assume that, you know, I had somebody talk about the fierce corporate women in high heels. You assume those people have everything going for them. Let me tell you, opening your own company from high top there, and then you come down and you start establishing your own company, is, I think, there's no thesis that can actually be able to expound
to prepare you
for that. And that's why we talk about it, because now you understand and you ask, where do I register a company? Here I used to be like, excuse me,
there were people at your beck and call to do this, do this for me, and Rudy Upper, yeah.
And why am I saying this is because, as Pauline, I learned that most of people, and particularly in Africa, we do trade, we do business because we have no other option. We do business because I can't find a job. We do business because I've been fired. Let me see what I can do with my little savings. And then you go and the only thing I can tell you, when you do business like that, chances are, other than the outliers, most people fail.
Yes.
Because you have not laid the fundamentals. So I established a company called East Africa Customer Care Center. And I will never forget it, which does training. We do training, we do BPO services, we do a lot of online. Now we're getting into online training. So we do a lot of that around customer experience. And consultancy. I'll come to your business and tell you, how do you improve your customer experience so that you can generate more revenues? And let me tell you, setting up the company, knowing where to go to be NITA registered, knowing how to knock doors, and then you find the people you are bossing around. They moved on. They're in other companies where you're going to look for jobs. And you have to humble yourself because, hello, I remember you. I remember you. Yes. So those are the experiences that await you. And we're talking about business, setting up businesses. So learning the ropes, and I will never forget one lady. She used to be the one in charge of the office of the registrar of political parties. And she told me, oh, you left. We had done a course together. And she told me, please come. I know what you're made of. Come and train my people. And I'll never forget, we had that training at the Kenya School of Law. And I will never forget, you know, this water bottle. When you have the water bottle and the small books set and people waiting for you to train them, I will never forget that moment because it opened a window for me to know I'm back in the game. I was not an imposter, and we'll talk about it later, but I am in the game. I can do it without studying on the platforms of others. What am I talking about? Networks. Networks, that my networks have helped me to have food on the table for the last 10 years in business. So by and by, I have been able to grow the company through thick and thin, and we'll talk about that later. I've been able to get into other spaces. We have, with other partnership, we have an e-commerce platform called zazela.co.ke or .co.ug. So I've been in that space, and I have learned you can sell coffee, you can also export coffee. So by and by, I have opened my mind to possibilities and moved from the corporate heart. So in a nutshell, I'm just a woman who is learning the ropes. So you never really are an achieved person. You grow day by day.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Thank
so that's
you so
Pauline
much.
Oroe.
Thank you so
Beyond
much,
that,
Pauline.
I'm a madam to one handsome, very handsome young man who is following in my footsteps and my legacy.
Wow. That's really excellent. Let's give Pauline a round of applause. Elizabeth, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Thank you, Shiko. It's a privilege to be here and share my experiences. I am from a family of 10 in a village. I was the first woman to go to campus, to go to university. I know a lot of us prefer calling it humble beginnings, but this was really poverty. So I came from one of the very small villages in this country. Even the poor used to call us poor.
Oh dear.
You understand?
Yeah.
Now, from a family of 10, I was the fourth born, all right? And my parents were peasant farmers. And unfortunately, girls were not going to school, or they were not meant to go to school. So I would go to school once a week. And most of the other days, I'll be busy working at home, you know, helping and all that. But luckily, after class 7 then, I passed, because I was so determined. I looked at the poverty and I wasn't happy about it at all. And little, tiny as I was, I kept telling myself, this one, no. So after that, I went to a secondary school, which was about 24 kilometers. And would you know, walk to the secondary school, you know, with our box, you know, the metal boxes. I'm sure some of you don't know, or most of you. And so up to Form 4, after Form 4, I get back home and the men were waiting for me. Now this girl is educated, she qualifies to be a good wife.
Now she's a wife. That was what you were. Now that is what your role was. Now umekuwa bibi sasa.
Yes, nimetoshea.
Yes.
You know, so I had to literally hide because I was very ambitious. There are things that I needed to do, you know, to do. So I hid, and I don't even know how I applied to Nairobi Hospital for a nurse, but it came. But at the same time, results came and I had passed. So I went to Form 5. By that time, my parents had sold everything that I ever had. So by second time, there was nothing. I couldn't go to school. So I had to drop out and do farming to get the money, which I did, and I went back. Second term, third term, and I finished and I led, you know, and I went to campus, and the rest is history. So from campus, of course, now they were a bit careful. That one, hey, is too educated.
Yes.
He's too educated. So after campus, I got a job. I remember now I finished campus, I did BCom accounting. I'm looking for a job. I've got nowhere to stay in Nairobi. I tried to, you know, seek a place from relatives. It was not possible. So a friend of mine took me to her sister in Kibera, where I spent two weeks and I did interviews. Then I went home. When I came back, I'd qualified. I got a job with PwC as an auditor. So my life started there. I'm saying this so to encourage someone who may be feeling, I got a suit allowance and I used it to buy a mattress and I started on the floor. My career started there. So I was an auditor for 2 years. And then I met my boyfriend with my husband, and we were asked, one of you has to leave. And obviously, you know who had to leave.
Yeah.
So I left, I got married, and I started looking for a job thereafter. I looked for a job. I got a job at Grafton College as a lecturer, but soon after, I got a job at National Media Group. They were looking for a lady accountant, where I was for 23 years. I've been in the corporate world for about 30 years. So I worked there, I joined, I had to change because now I'm a mother, she's my firstborn, and so now I can't do audit anymore. I've got to do finance. I had to move to finance department. So where I moved to various strategic business units. Eventually I was told because of my character, my integrity, I was asked to lead supply chain.
Yes.
For the company and eventually for the group. I worked there for about 23 years. I left, and now I started giving back to society.
Yes.
You know, I am now a board member with the World Vision, so I'm an advocate for children. I'm a board member with GT Bank, a global bank, so if you need finances, I'm a board member with NWell Financial Services, so if you need pension services. I'm a board member with IOD, Institute of Directors, so if you want directorship positions. Yeah, so that is where I'm serving at the moment. And in the process, of course, I had to advance my training because I did finance, BCom accounting, then I did MBA in strategic management. I did advanced leadership with Strathmore Business School, AMP, both here in Kenya, in Lagos, and in Spain, Lavara Business School. And after that, I've done several other courses in, in leadership, in in trustee, in corporate governance, and so I'm giving back to society. But in the process, I still did some other courses on personal development.
Yes.
I've had a lot of talk about that. Personal development, so I started a company, Inare Consulting Group, that basically reconstruct broken links, reshape perspectives, and regain values.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's what I spend a lot of time doing at the moment. I'm a mother of 5.
Wow.
Yes, ranging between 11 years and 30 years.
Yeah.
Yes, so I'm glad to be here to share my experiences. I have quite a bit, so hope we'll be able to advance that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. Let's give her a round of applause. I'll come back to you, Elizabeth, especially to ask, the importance of personal development, because I've heard, you've gone back to school to do this, you've gone back to school, and it's so important because sometimes we leave school with our degrees and you've gotten, and somebody said, somebody talked about education never ends or something of the sort. So you have your degree there and you've got your MBA there and you feel content and you go to the job market saying, now you people give me the paychecks that I need. But even when you still had those high positions, you were still going back so that you could continue to sharpen your skills. So we'll come back to that in a minute. I want to talk to you, Pauline, in regards to challenges. What are some of the challenges that you have experienced? And I want you to tell me in general, because here we are looking at from the corporate point of view to the business point of view. How was it to be in a field where customer care? So, of course, now you are the front line of dealing with disgruntled humans. So, yes. And then they hear you're a woman on the phone and say, sasa huyu mwanamke ni nini ananiambia? What are some of the challenges you experienced?
Let's just start from where she started, where Elizabeth started. Number one, you're a woman in an African patriarchal society. Where does that leave you? Number one, even the men, like somebody said about unlearning what they had learned. The first thing is that you're looked at as a woman. I remember in the job, once I was promoted, somebody asked, again, so everybody first assumes you cannot be promoted on merit. So that is rule number one. Number two, you are a woman and every time you talk, everybody looks at you, don't be emotional. Oh. Right?
Yeah.
Why are you being so? There are so many biases around the fact that you're a woman.
You're so sensitive.
You're so sensitive.
Yeah.
And then when you have a voice like mine, is why are you speaking louder than the men?
Yeah, why are you shouting?
Yeah,
Kwani unafikiri wewe ni mwanaume?
Yes.
Oh dear.
Yeah. Then did you hear where I come from?
Yes.
You're already branded.
Oh, because you're from Nyeri.
Yes. So this Nyeri woman, and it is so sad that I even have a video of a very senior person talking about 2 of us who came from Nyeri and said, I always ask this person to show me how to manage these Nyeri women.
Oh dear.
So you actually, they come subtle. Then you are from the village, the English, the L's and R's, you are trying to clean them up all the time. And when you sit in these big boardrooms, you hear them asking, please, could you explain to me what she's saying? Oh. So, and it puts you down. These are the things that we have had to walk. When I see the Gen Z, I'm a mother to Gen Z. When you look at them, I'm like, we have walked a very dark path sometimes, and so sometimes when we are harsh and we are what, it's because of the scars that we have borne. And when you find your parents sometimes telling you of, it is the journey behind us, the scars that we carry. So a lot of challenges in terms of that. Accent is a big thing. If you're in the corporate big world and you go speaking English, you really have to be powerful. You have to be Professor Wangari Maathai, the late. You have to be Dr. Mwangi, and where and what I'm trying to say, you need to know these challenges, and I know you come to overcome it. You need to know what you're doing for people to believe in you. Because accent, we say, is not a measure of intelligence.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's just where I was brought up. So these are some of the things. Then obviously you get to a point where, if you look at my width, in the corporate world, it doesn't work.
They're looking at Madame Petite, tiny
you
person.
You are supposed to have a certain look. Yeah. So here I am, big, loud, laughing in vernacular, And you don't have the etiquette of, And you said, I don't know. I look at some of our leaders now and I'm like, you know, you can see how we judge our very own from the very aspects of the fact we were brought up that way. So how then, you know, you work so hard to clean up. Then you get into the boardroom and then you don't have network. Ati, who are you? Where do you come from? Who do you know? How can you help us? You are from the village. The people you know is the guy from the, you know, the
kiosk,
chief, the kiosk, the people you went to school with who are struggling. Here people are saying, you know, I can talk to so-and-so, I can talk to the CS, and then we can be able to see how to resolve that. Who do you know? You know, some of these challenges you don't even understand. You don't even know they exist until you live them. And these are some of the things that we have had to live with. So you are sitting at a table, but you're not at the table. Are we together?
Yeah.
It's the same thing. I will look at her and without any biases. When you do journalism, they will always refer to you by your religion, by your, more than who you are and what you are doing. So unless you overcome that barrier and understand, I know what I'm doing. Those are some of the challenges. And I really want to talk about the subtle challenges, because this is what breaks most of us. We were broken because we were not given an opportunity or because we listened to those voices.
Yes.
So many dreams have been killed by those voices. But because me, I was a firstborn, and also a first cousin, a first everything, I had to be first. So I was very determined. So those challenges are there. Obviously, you go, then you realize, oh, why am I being paid less than everybody else? Because I have come. Remember, I'm also doing a course called Customer Care, Customer Experience. Your work is to talk to customers, eh?
Yeah, what are you being paid for?
Yeah,
everybody can
your
talk.
work is sort it out. Meanwhile, it is maybe the technology department that has not, you know, has had issues, which we experience all the time. And then your work is to fix the customer who is shouting because they've been delayed. So why are you, what is this job again? Please explain to the world. It is only now that we have been able to bring it to, you know, to the table and say, the customer is the first person in the room. Because you can't even start a job. You can't start a business without knowing where you're getting your customers.
Absolutely.
So those are some of the challenges.
Yeah.
Now
we're going to take a short break and then we'll come back to the question and answer session. I hope you're really, really enjoying this conversation because I'm learning so much, and I hope even you at home are learning as well. So don't go far away. We'll be right back after a short break. Welcome to Dadas show. This is definitely the best part of the show, which gives us an opportunity to interact with our wonderful audience. Now, remember, this episode, we are discussing the nuances. We're exploring the nuances of women in business. What does it take to be a boss lady? And of course, Elizabeth and Pauline have shared their story of how they got to where they are. And I'm sure even you at home are surprised. You know, most of us are thinking, this must come really easy. But to see how much they had to struggle and hustle to get where they are makes their position right now all the more better. So in this part, we are going to invite our wonderful audience to ask questions, to give out comments in regards to today's conversation. Remember to give us your comments and questions on our Facebook page at Dadas Show KBC on Facebook, and Ashiko, the host, across all social media platforms. So to start us off, we have Janet. Janet, you have a question. Karibu sana.
My question is to Pauline. I'd like to understand what is the importance of mentorship in both the corporate space and the business environment?
Well, thank you so much for your question. Mentorship for me means that we are guiding, supporting, giving knowledge, creating networks for the people who are around us. Sometimes we always assume mentorship is young, older people to younger people. No, I would like to demystify that. mentorship can actually be even younger people to us. Remember, like us, I may not be very tech savvy, and I might get mentorship from you. So mentorship is about sharing knowledge. It's about us supporting one another. Like if I want to set an Instagram page very quickly, I am not going to struggle with it. I am going to call my son who is a computer scientist and tell him, sort me out. And then by and by he'll tell me, Mom, stop disturbing me. Come, I show you. And he will continue showing me what is in the market. I'm turning 55. I use ChatGPT. So that tells you I have been mentored fairly in terms of technology, not just from educating and learning, but I have youth around me. Mentorship is also very important because it also helps peer-to-peer. The reason I joined after I built my own company, I've been able to do everything. I joined an organization called Commonwealth Business Women Africa. And one of our key mandates, apart from empowering women, is to mentor those behind us, those with us, and also to listen to the voices of the younger one. I'm a very, very a follower and admirer of Gen Z because they're able to put a lot of knowledge together. So we are also mentored by the young.
I love that. I think it's so important for how she has broken it down, because we always have a tendency of saying, I'm going to look for a mentor. And then you look for somebody you have nothing in common with, somebody who you're completely intimidated by. You cannot. So I like the way you've said we can mentor each other. It can be a cross-generation thing. You know, you can use and utilize each other. So thank you so, so much. Janet, I hope your question was answered.
Maybe just one thing I'd
Yes.
like to add. By the time you're also seeking a mentor, and I'm now talking to the younger people, please know what you want.
Yes.
It is so important. You just can't come to me and tell me, Pauline, mentor me. Mentor you on what? What do you want? What is your aspiration? I'm not a doctor. I am a mentor. So you also must know. And that is why you find us boring and we know nothing, because you also don't know what you want. So I really just wanted to put that through.
Wow, that's really well put. So know what you want and then pursue that from there. So don't just walk up to boss lady here and say, mentor me. Na ujue kile unataka. So thank you so, so much. Our next question is from Esther. Esther, karibu sana.
Thank you. My question goes to Madam Eliza. Do you think men are favored when it comes to delegation of duties?
Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that there are biases. One that favors men in the sense of the responsibility, the time allocation. I want to give my case as an example.
Yes.
As part of the challenges I have encountered in my corporate life. Yes. I think by and large, you know, women have a lot more responsibilities. In fact, the other day I was looking at, the internet, and I saw an illustration of men and women taking a race. And on the lane for men, it was clear. For women, there were children, there were clothes that are being hung, there were old people that needed to be taken care of. So that is what we go through as women. There is a lot more that you need to do beside your career. And I think for me, that hindered my progress a bit, because I had a family to take care of. And I remember there are times I'll get to the office and I've been in the hospital the whole night, and I find a letter on my desk, you know.
A warning letter.
Show cause,
Oh,
you
dear.
know. So, and then another time I had to relocate to offices when my kids were just about to do exams, and I was expectant, and to drive every day 120 kilometers. So I think what we are asking here is for men counterpart to be a little bit more understanding, because they are at a better position. They don't carry pregnancies, they don't take care of little children. So like you said earlier on, when opportunities come, they quickly take them because they're in a position to. So there's a lot you have as a woman to sacrifice, which the men don't have to necessarily do that. Okay? So that's one of them. Of course, the others is issues of balances, and you're talking about not equality, but equity.
Yes.
The grounding is never the same. So because of, you know, biases of women are not assertive enough, or they don't look competent enough, so men get opportunities a lot more than women.
Wow, I like that. You know, looking for collaboration. Yes, it's looking like it's skewed to one direction. But like we said, you know, there's light at the end of the tunnel. Things are changing. There are places that are actually being more favorable. You know, you have institutions, maybe like where you were in Safaricom, where they even have nursing stations. You know, so everything, our lives, every aspect of feminehood and being a woman is being integrated into some workplaces, which is, of course, giving us the same opportunities, or at least equal to, you know, close enough opportunities.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like now they get more, they get like 3 months, 6 months. During our time, 2 days to 1 month, the secretary calls you. You're expected in the office. You don't even know how to handle the baby, you know. And there were no opportunities at the workplace to do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was hard. It's getting better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really, really encouraging. Thank you so, so much. Esther, I hope your question has been answered. Our next question is from Eda. Eda, karibu sana.
My question is to Pauline. As a business owner, what do you think of Kenya's political situation? And if the political environment continues to be volatile, what should we expect in the next, like the last part of the year? And finally, what would be your advice for Gen Zs? And if you were to sit with the president today, how would you advise him to proceed?
Thank you, Eda, very much for that question. Number one is that we all know what is going on within the political situation, the status in Kenya. So we know what is happening, and I believe it's for a good cause. We have seen what has happened with the finance bill even in our courts. So by and by, we are advocating for better governance. We are advocating for things to work the way they should work.
Yes.
And I applaud the Gen Zs for championing the change that we have always desired. You know, us who are older, we are always we play safe because of the fact that, you know, you want things to happen, but you don't want to be the one making them happen. What would I advise someone like myself also who is in business? You need to know what your business model is and where you are running your business. Is there an opportunity to take it online? What kind of business are you looking at? You know, when you go to school, you are told about something called pestel. You know, you learn about the political, the economic, the social situations. You learn about all these things. And they come, if you are running a business, even without mandamano, you know for sure, every election times there will be a slump. Every time we have an issue within the government, there will be a slump. So how do you plan? Where will you take your business? How do you make sure that on Monday, or by Sunday, you have planned for Monday, Monday, Tuesday.
Yes.
So you have to really adapt and to know, how do I work within what I have? I had somebody say they do like, I don't know whether it's Ushanga or something like that. How then do you take your business within the conditions that we have or the situation? Are you there to make bands that actually talk to the situation we are in? Opportunity.
Yes, that is an
So
opportunity.
this is one thing that you must always be ready to adapt, ready to move. We are not going to change the way the world is, but we can change ourselves and we can adapt our businesses.
Thank you so, so much, Pauline, for that. Elizabeth, you had something very brief to add on?
Very, very briefly,
Yeah.
I would want to congratulate the Gen Zs for one thing that I treasure a lot, the unity among them.
Yes.
I think one of the things that is a disservice you are doing to this beautiful country is that we get so divided. And the youth have taught us that we can be united. We can speak in one voice and we are a one people.
Wow.
I would want to echo what she said. We are hoping the leadership will listen to them. We pray that they have the wisdom to be able to negotiate this to the end. Thank you.
Thank you so, so much, Elizabeth. Hey, Gen Z, oe. Look at you, we've deviated a little bit from topic, but here you go, getting all the encouragement that you need, which is definitely necessary. We cannot stick our heads in the sand like the proverbial ostrich and claim that not to know. But so congratulations on that. We will move on to our second last question of the day, which is from Mr. Mongai. Mr. Mongai, very, very briefly, karibu sana.
Thank you very much. My question is to Pauline, and one thing I appreciate both boss ladies, as you're calling them, is the debunking of your journey. And unfortunately, we live in a world that has perceptions that are cast in stone. And the perception here is when we think about corporate women, we think, this one just landed there. but we don't know what it took for her to get to where she got to. So how do you then get these journeys, your journeys, and they are many and varied, how do you get the journeys out to the people who these ladies have to meet, who make decisions, so that we are looking at these ladies objectively and not judgmentally? How do you then get these stories out in the open? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mungai, for that question. Number one, let me demystify this corporate woman. We are just girls who got into the organization, worked very hard sometimes, and I say sometimes, and we got into position. The journey is rough. Anybody who would actually be honest, number one, I would like to talk to the corporate woman. Let us be authentic. Let us tell the younger girls about the tears our pillows have seen. Because it's never smooth. You work very hard, the promotion is given to somebody else. Sometimes it's because the man is more available. You have had my colleague here talking about 5 children. By the time you go for maternity, you come back, the position is gone. What is the disadvantage on the other hand is when she was getting the 5 children, I did not get the 5 children, I only got 1. By the time you get back into the race, you are no longer in the race. You have been eliminated. So the realities of this corporate woman is like, look at us. Professor Wangari Maathai said a very profound thing. That look at me from the morphology up here. What can I offer? Who is listening to the fact that I am not high heels? I am not my bodily shape. I am not just a woman. I am somebody who is employed and who has worked hard to be able to deliver certain key deliverables that were put in front of me, and I was able to deliver. Invite us to the table, be it government, be it NGOs, be it any discussions. Invite us to the table. We are not just going to bring our emotions, and allow us to bring our emotions.
Yes.
That is how God created us. Those emotions are talking, and I talked about active listening. We are talking, we are crying out. Allow us to be women the way we allow you to be men. I was also taught something. Don't wear trousers to be a man. Wear your trousers because you're comfortable in your trousers. But I will not wear the black suit or the gray suit, trouser suit, because I want to be a man. I don't want to be a man.
Yes.
As a corporate woman who maybe got to that top, I just want you to listen to me, what I can offer, what I've been able to put together. Am I an achiever? Can I be able to change?
Do I deliver?
Us. Yes, do I deliver?
Yeah.
Then also stop looking at stereotyping to the point where you think, these are just corporate women. They cannot understand government, or they cannot understand how we do things. Have you called us to the table, or shall we always stay with the recycled ones that you can be able maybe A, to manipulate?
Of course.
Or B, because I don't want to use the horizontal engineering term. But really, are we just there because we fit a certain box? Will you take somebody like me who is loud, who will give you feedback, but who is ready to make change? That is what we need to demystify.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, Pauline, for that. And I think even furthermore to that, in terms of, I am a very firm believer of you do not have to go explaining yourself to everyone. I am a very firm believer of your actions speak louder than words. But some of the things that would also encourage some of the public sector, private sector, is to have more female inclusions. Then you will not need to explain somebody's presence there. Then you will not need to explain somebody's voice. If we were very many, if there were more women on the boards that Elizabeth sits on, then she will not be a minority. People will not need to decipher who she is. I always believe that people are afraid of what they do not understand. So include more people, let more women sit on these boards and have these positions, and then everybody will understand. It will not be out of the ordinary to have a woman. So finally, our final question or comment of the day is from Nelly. Nelly will give us a final question of the day.
Thank you so much. My question goes to Elizabeth. What are the good practices that one can undertake to ensure a good work-life balance?
What are some of the advices that we can share to help us balance, live a healthy life? I think, first of all, the whole issue of bias may not change soon. So what I would encourage us is, women, you are so powerful. I would want to encourage you to build self-awareness, to build and tap into the riches within yourself. So that even if people are biased against you, so long as you know what you want, what you're doing, you'll be fine. Because you can't change other people, but you can change yourself.
Yes.
I know what I want. I don't, address what I know, but I have to make very bold decisions. Like I was going to school, I would tell my colleagues, I am crossing over to Nairobi University. I'm almost giving birth. In fact, I graduated 2 weeks after I gave birth. So there's a lot of work you do. You need to know what it is that you want. You need to be very committed. But if you are swayed by other people, you will not get there. So some of the advice I give you, have a very clear plan. Work on yourself. There are barriers. Like for me, from where I came from, I would look at life with a lens that was not good. And so I limit myself with those, invisible limitations that I put on myself. But when I started now creating self-awareness, just getting to understand myself, dealing with the paradigms within myself, I realized, oh, it's not as bad. I can move on. Yeah, so women, let's spend a lot of time working on ourselves inside out, up, down, in, out, So let's not use the senses to, he said, they are doing, they can continue doing, I know what I want. So focus is one thing, planning, prioritizing, and then of course, network is very good. Look for sponsors and mentors, yeah, and of course, never stop learning. Yeah?
Wow.
And accept to be cancelled.
Yes.
Thank you.
Wow. I think that's enough said for today. I feel like it has been such an engaging, such a, illuminating show. And I'm sure even you at home can agree with us today that the episode has definitely taught us so much more about how to become the boss lady, what they have to go through, what are the challenges. And I'm sure you're going to look at that woman with some newfound respect about how she moves and why she moves the way she moves. So, of course, on behalf of the production team at KBC, my location partner, Emara Ole Sereni here in Nairobi, myself, Ashiko Mbone, we thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Dadas Show, and we will catch you same time, same place next week. But for now, stay safe and be blessed. Goodbye.